judge, facing a judge herself for driving under the influence. But Broward County Judge Gisele Pollack surprised many when she admitted her guilt to the courtroom.
I accept the consequences of all my actions, Your Honor, and I plead guilty because I am guilty.
Coming home at the end of the working day, I was riding along through the drizzling rain on a deserted stretch of the county 2 lane when I came upon a wreck on the highway.
Tonight, we're hearing from a Broward County judge who was arrested on DUI charges after hitting a parked BSO cruiser in the courthouse parking lot.
Judge Lynn Rosenthal pleaded guilty to a lesser charge of reckless driving and finally went before our Local 10 cameras today and explained to our investigative reporter Bob Norman that she was, quote, sleep driving when it all happened.
Judge Rosenthal is blaming it all on an Ambien sleeping pill she took the night before. But it's her story about what happened after the arrest that may not match the evidence.
I was sleep driving and unaware of what I was doing until long after I got to the courthouse.
Judge Lynn Rosenthal says she was, quote, sleep driving the morning she was charged with DUI after driving erratically in the courthouse parking lot on her way to the bench.
I took the medication the night before, and the next thing you know, I was under arrest. I was under arrest. I have no recollection of what.
Rosenthal says that medication was an overly strong Ambien CR sleeping pill, but she had a bottle of the anti-anxiety drug Xanax in her purse, and after arrest, she refused to take blood and urine tests. Yet she insists she agreed to take the urine test and only refused the blood.
I asked him multiple times just for a urine test.
On the video, he gave you a choice. He said either or.
No, he really didn't say either or.
Well,
he said blood and urine.
Listen, though, as the deputy gives her that choice.
But you don't want to submit to blood or urine, though, to eliminate any other things.
I'm not going to do that.
And here she declines to take each test individually.
Will you also submit to urine and blood tests?
The answer is no to each of those.
And far from asking for a urine test, she claimed on the video she couldn't perform one. He was going to give you a cup of water, and you refused to take the cup of water, and you said no.
Well, that's untrue. You weren't there. I was there, and I'm telling you,
it's on video.
I couldn't do a urine test. I've been asking for water for a good 35 minutes.
Okay, we could get you some water if you would like, that way I can get you some water.
She didn't take the deputy up on that request, and she could have lost her license for a year for failing to comply with that urine test. But the DMV ruled in her favor, and she's back on the road.
New a South Florida judge who was arrested recently on DUI charges is talking about that for the first time. Judge Lynn Rosenthal spoke with our own Bob Norman.
I'm here in Pompano Beach at 850 radio station where Judge Rosenthal just gave her first interview, which is one that you can only call a very friendly interview. Fortunately, I was able to catch up with her afterwards. Take a look.
You want me to describe it? I took the medication the night before, and the next thing you know, I was under arrest.
That's the way Broward Circuit Judge Lynn Rosenthal described her DUI arrest, saying that the morning she came to work driving erratically in a courthouse parking lot was a case of, quote, sleep driving brought on by a dose of the sleeping pill Ambien CR the night before.
I was sleep driving and unaware of what I was doing until long after I got to the courthouse.
She claims she was not on the Xanax anti-anxiety medication that was also in her purse. So why did you have the Xanax? Can you tell us that?
I have a prescription, and it was not something that had been taken. The only drug that was taken was Ambien CR as it had been prescribed to me. It was the first time I ever took it.
Video from Rosenthal's arrest shows her refusing to take urine and blood tests, yet she claims she agreed to the urine test. Because you refused to do these tests, we don't know what was in your system.
Well, the police believed it was Ambien, the state attorney believed it was Ambien, the court accepted it was Ambien, and I guess when everybody acknowledges that was Ambien, That's going to have to be what it was.
The DUI charge was reduced to a reckless driving charge, to which Rosenthal pleaded guilty. She was sentenced to 3 months probation and 25 hours community service. We're going to have a lot more on this story tonight, including the judge's words on one side and the actual video from the arrest on the other, and you're going to get to decide who's right. In Pompano Beach, I'm Bob Norman, Local 10 News.
To a continuing Bob Norman investigation into a Broward County judge who was charged with DUI after slamming her car into a BSO cruiser. Here's Bob now with the new information about Judge Lynn Rosenthal's legal future.
A 90-day suspension without pay. That's the recommended punishment for Broward Judge Lynn Rosenthal after she was charged with DUI for erratic driving in the courthouse parking lot.
I was sleep driving and unaware.
She blamed the wild ride on an Ambien pill she took the night before. The JQC found that Judge Rosenthal gave contradictory and misleading statements under oath.
I asked him multiple times just for a urine test.
Rosenthal, who had a bottle of Xanax in her purse at the time, refused to take a blood test, but told Local 10 and the JQC that she requested a urine test. But BSO video contradicted that.
Will you also submit to urine and blood tests?
The answer is no to each of those.
She even told the deputy she couldn't perform a urine test. He was going to give you a cup of water, and you refused to take the cup of water, and you said no.
Well, that's untrue. You weren't there. I was there, and I'm telling you,
it's on video.
I couldn't do a urine test. I've been asking for water for a good 35 minutes.
Okay, we could get you some water.
She refused the water. The JQC found that she was untruthful about medications she was taking, and that instead of turning over video evidence from her phone from that morning, she and her husband destroyed it.
It's actually very, very disturbing information.
Courthouse blogger Bill Jellin said harsher punishment is warranted.
I think the Supreme Court needs to send a very
harsher punishment is warranted.
I think the Supreme Court needs to send a very strong message to those that still think it's okay to screw around and be a Broward judge, that this is not tolerated.
If the Florida Supreme Court doesn't accept the 90-day suspension, Rosenthal